Hello everyone and welcome to our YouTube presentation titled The Climate Typing Points and How Close Are We? Today, with my peer Kenneth Thomas and myself, Soledad Mayode, we'll be talking about climate typing points, which are the critical thresholds that determine Earth stability. There are moments where one small change can trigger big and irreversible consequences. That's why understanding these typing points is crucial if we want a safe and a stable future for our planet. And the question is, why to study typing points? Climate change is a topic we hear about it constantly, on the news, online, school, but I wonder, how much do we really know and understand about the risk we are facing? Many people know that Earth is warming, but very few know how close we might be to dangerous typing points. And that's what inspired us to investigate and research about this. And we decided to conduct a few interviews at Padron campus to see what people know about this topic.
My name is Brianna.
Okay, Brianna. So, do you believe that the climate and environment are measurably changing?
I think the environment is rapidly changing, and I think we should act quick now with the considering the fact that we have air pollution, water pollution, and cars that are probably using too much gas and contaminating the air.
Okay. What?
My name is Brianna.
Okay, Brianna. Okay. Have you ever heard of biophysical tipping points?
No, I haven't.
Okay. How much do you think that humanity is going to be able to adapt to climate change?
I feel that it's doable. It's gonna be hard, but as technology, how do you say, like upgrades, como evoluciona, evolutions, is gonna be. They're gonna find ways to maintain ourselves in the climate change.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever?
Now let's go ahead and talk about the Tower of Blocks analogy. Scientists compare Earth systems to a tower of wooden blocks. Forests, ocean currents, ice sheets, biodiversity, weather cycles. Remove a few blocks and the tower stands. But remove too many and everything collapses suddenly. As Johann Roxor says, we're putting the stability of the entire Earth system at risk. We don't know which block will be the one that causes collapse. Now, let's go ahead and talk about warming, which is only the beginning and one of the worst consequences of these changes. Earth has already warmed about 1.2 degrees Celsius since the last 1800s. Now, when our body temperature rises just a little bit, we feel extremely sick when we have fever. The planet feels it too. That small rise melts glaciers faster, changes rainfall patterns, changes the water cycle, strengthens hurricanes, and disrupts circulation in our oceans. That's why temperature is the foundation of global stability. Now, let's go ahead and talk how the pace of change is accelerating. Climate change is no longer a slow future problem, it's speeding up right now. That's why we see stronger storms, deadly heat waves, massive wildfires, and more flooding that are happening worldwide. Scientists estimate that climate impact could cause an 18% decline in global GDP by 2050, which could cause a huge economic loss affecting families everywhere. Moreover, it's really important to analyze how Earth has nine planetary boundaries that keep the planet habitable, including biodiversity, freshwater land use, chemical cycles, and climate, holding our stability. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this crisis and how it's affecting real people and causing real consequences. This crisis isn't abstract. We have been seeing homes destroyed by floods, crops failing from extreme heat, children breathing wildfire smoke, and communities being forced to relocate. These are real families and real losses. Climate change is not tomorrow, it's affecting millions today. Now it's time to define what are climate typing points. Typing points are thresholds where a small change causes a sudden, large, and irreversible transformation. For example, ice sheet collapsing leads to unstoppable sea level rise. Coral reefs die and marine life collapses. Or if methane released from thawing permafrost, it could create a rapid warming. Another example is how the Amazon, turning into a savanna, will release massive carbon. Or other examples, Makes you think how once a tipping point is crossed, we can undo it for thousands of years. And now, why those tipping points matter? And what can we expect? Most concerning of all, these tipping point systems are connected. One collapses, it stresses the other ones, making our planet more unstable. So what happens if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius warming? And what can we do to prevent tipping points? To answer this, I will now pass the presentation to Kenneth, who will explain the future risks and solutions. Thank you.
Thanks, Soledad, for that presentation. It sounds really grim and really unavoidable, and some people still don't even believe it. So let's move from the situation to the action and what we can actually do about it. Let's start just by thinking to ourselves about something that everybody cares about, even skeptics, which is the economy. If we go over tipping points in the climate, in Earth systems, what are the main causes and what are the main economic risks we might face if we exceed these tipping points? Go grab a group of a couple of your friends or strangers and discuss. All right, so welcome back. I'm sure you guys discussed all kinds of reasons. And among those, what comes to the top of everyone's mind here in Florida is just extreme weather events, especially hurricanes. They can really disrupt all aspects of life here and can lead to, among other things, agricultural losses. Whenever crops get a lot of wind or rain, it really destroys them. And also long-term changes in the climate can affect what kind of crops we can grow here locally. These big climate events, like intense hurricanes, can really mess up our infrastructure that wasn't always built for these extreme events, and it can decrease our public health because when it's hotter, people are more likely to get fatigued or more likely to have cardiovascular events, and it can really disrupt our productivity as well because sicker people are less able to participate in the workforce, in doing things for other people, for the economy, and of course, in Florida, property damage. We all like to live by the water, but the water sometimes really damages us when we have hurricanes and other climate-related events. So how do we avoid this? The short answer is we don't. It's coming no matter what, but we can do things to reduce the severity and also adapt to this future where we do cross over tipping points. The first and the biggest one is phase out fossil fuels. There is no response to a changing climate. There is no response to avoiding tipping points without getting rid of fossil fuels. And second, we need to go a lot further. We can't just get rid of fossil fuels and pretend that everything is fine. We have to rebuild what some have termed a circular economy. If you've ever taken an economics class, you might have seen a diagram that looks a bit like this, a circular flow model that's based on this idea that the economy is composed of businesses or firms that make goods and services, and then people, households that consume those goods and services and also participate in the labor of the firms. But here's the thing. The entire human economy is based here on Earth, and everything on Earth exists within a larger biosphere that we depend on for all things. And our entire economy exists within this biosphere, which is the inspiration of a different model of economics. For the last 2 centuries or so, our model of economics is based on this idea of production and consumption, and this assumption more or less that resources are unlimited, but that isn't the case, and our consumption has a lot of problems. So this model of taking resources, making stuff, and then just throwing them away when we get tired of them or they break isn't going to work. And a circular economy that has been proposed and enacted by some social enterprises, by government policy, proposes to drastically reduce waste, instead turned it into capital for future products that we might use, so that instead of simply making, using, and then throwing away, we reuse old items, we remake them into more useful things, and anything we can't reuse or remake, we recycle so that we can build new products that are useful for everyone. So now that we know what a circular economy is, how do we actually get there from where we are today? Go find your group of friends to discuss again and come back in a few minutes. All right, guys, so now that you're back, hopefully you've talked about all kinds of great ideas, and I want to crystallize a few things for you. First, personal choices matter. When we choose who to buy our goods and services from, we're choosing who we don't buy them from. We're choosing the winners and the people who succeed in the circular economy of tomorrow. Also, public action. We're all citizens of our communities of different countries, and we can act as individuals, as organized groups, to put pressure on public authorities to make laws that make unsustainable business practices less favorable and favor circular business models that encourage the reuse of the resources that we actually have and can't sustainably use. And finally, personal initiative. We all have hopes and dreams, and we all have the ability to innovate, to work with each other, to build our own businesses that are built differently from those that came before us. It's especially this personal initiative to organize, to create, to innovate these new sustainable models that really counts, because we know better than anyone else the people most in need and the solutions that are most possible within our own lives and the lives of people around us. And if we want to achieve any kind of social justice that touches everybody and not just those who are close to power or close to people with money, we have to innovate ourselves to create new social enterprises, to talk to people in power in our area, even if they're not used to it, in order to build something that's more just and equitable. So thank you very much for listening, but also pay it forward. You have experience, you have knowledge, you have initiative and agency that everyone needs in order to build an economy that's more circular and a world that's more prepared to deal with climate change and avoid the serious tipping points that we have to if we want to live in some kind of harmony with nature. So go change the world.